After 10 years of waiting, the Bleach anime is finally back better than ever, taking problems from the original and fixing them to perfect its content. Problems I have had with the original have all been fixed, from censorship to poor pacing to even being a faithful adaptation. These mistakes have all been fixed in their own unique way, creating a source that already surpasses the prequel in only 2 episodes. For today's video, we're going to be discussing the many problems that have now been fixed, while also reviewing episodes 1 and 2 of the anime. But before we get into that, I'm currently trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so any support that you guys could offer me would be absolutely amazing. But without any further ado, let's enter the 1000-Year Blood War anime. So right at the start, I have to say the team around Bleach nailed everything. They cut some unimportant content and created some insane hype through impressive art and design, insane animation, and crazy good sound design. I walked into this episode with insanely high expectations, and honestly, everything was blown away. This isn't to say I don't have any criticism of this episode, but the anime did a great job adapting the source material. The hollows genuinely look terrifying now. They look like genuine real monsters that come out of a horror anime, and it honestly fits the franchise and the arc a lot more for what hollows really are. The start of the episode creates this insane mystery with great sound and a mysterious visual, proving to be impeccably intriguing for new viewers. And that is starting with Yuabak's poem, or the song. Even small things like the design of the research facility being dark with beautiful lighting was honestly amazing. The design of this in Kamakura Town has been an entire 50 tiers above the old Bleach anime. Like, they genuinely look insanely good, and I just love every aspect of them. Especially all these scenery shots that we got to see of every new location. It's just a complete upgrade, and it looks genuinely insane. I think they made a really good choice cutting out some of the characterization of Shino and Rainosuke. We still receive some of it, but they cut out some of the content at the start of their characters, which is honestly a trade. We lose some emotion of their conflict, but we get into the hype far quicker with Ichigo. I think since most of the Bleach fandom doesn't really care about their characters, this was honestly the right trade to make, allowing us to get to the new terrifying hollows, and the hype battle Ichigo and his friends had with them earlier was well worth it. I loved it, especially throwing in number 1 as the OST, and having Ichigo use Bankai, which he didn't use in the manga, was definitely a great way to build hype right off the bat. One last thing to note is the main cast powers all look so amazing with their new designs, especially Ohime's. The effects on her abilities are a complete upgrade, like they are insanely better. I was also really hyped to see Chad punch a hollow because of how insane it looked. That being said, arrest that monster, he killed so many innocent people in that building. The designs continue to be peak, however with the following section of the anime episode, I have some criticism. Firstly, I don't know if it's just me, but this conflict Yamamoto has when war is declared is simply superior in the manga. I feel like the panels of Yamamoto just bring so much emotion and power. For example, the legendary line where Yamamoto disregards the security of Squad 1 as he is the most powerful security is super raw and powerful in the manga, whereas in the anime, while it still felt powerful, it felt more brushed over, like it didn't have as much of an impact on me while watching it. But this could just simply be because it's an anime. It's very difficult to adapt those types of panels and keep the same level of emotion when you are translating it to the anime medium. To me, it just felt like a slight downgrade. Another critique I have is Yamamoto's flash step looked kind of weird. It just looked a little off. I don't know if it is just me, but it just looked a little funky. Besides that though, the effects of this scene and the entire episode were incredible, and honestly everything in this episode was still amazing. It was still an incredible section of the episode, just a slight downgrade from the manga. The battle with Eburn was another peak moment in episode 1. I have to say the best part is difficult to say. I mean, the lighting was amazing, the animation was amazing, but for me what really nailed it in the coffin was the voice acting. It stood out the most. They picked the perfect voice for Eburn. He sounds like a psychopath without being too psychotic, and it simply fits Eburn's character so amazingly well. I honestly adore it. There are a few other things from this episode that will be mentioned after the episode 2 review, but I just want to get into that. Episode 2 of Bleach. Let's go. This episode was amazing. Everything great about the first episode, but even more. I do have a singular problem with it that we'll touch upon a little later in the video, but we'll get into that later. The animation once again was phenomenal, especially towards the end, and honestly the changes to the designs were intriguing to say the least. The conflict with Quillage, or Quillgate, was absolutely incredible. Moments I didn't care for in the manga, like the Tres Besties showing up, were absolutely phenomenal in the anime, as they all three fought with some of the most insane animation in all of Bleach. I also predicted exactly where this episode was going to end. That's not really important for the review. I just thought that was kind of cool and I wanted to mention that. But bruh, this episode was just insane. The additional content was amazing as well. Seeing Harrybell struggle to stand against Yuabak as she commanded Nell to run away, and also seeing the additional content in the battle against Quillage with the Tres Bestias was just great. My only critique this episode is the content they decide to remove. Whereas in the first episode, the content they removed made the product better, in this episode, I feel like it deteriorated that section of the story. My only hope is the section gets added later. How can anime-onlys understand how much Sasakibe meant to Yamamoto by removing Byakuya's speech at his funeral? I really hope episode 3 either touches on this, or maybe there's an addition when Yamamoto has his rage later on in the anime that wasn't in the original source. In this episode, the opening and the endings were revealed, and oh my gosh, they were absolutely phenomenal. I want to do an entire video talking just about them, but just so you know, I rate them both a 10 out of 10. I will say the opening having flowers has some serious meaning, as each flower symbolizes a different concept and represents the squad we see the captains on. The pink, while some may think is too much, I absolutely adored. It's just so unique and fresh. Usually openings follow this very simple formula, but this one just feels new. It feels cool, if you know what I mean. The song too is a banger. I've been listening to it on loop. The ending looks amazing as well, as the song is brilliant as well, but on top of that, the words being chosen in the song are some of the key themes of Bleach, with Kubo's poems. I am literally listening to both these songs on loop. That is how amazing they truly are. But let's move on now. Let's discuss how this anime has saved the Bleach franchise through solving the problem with the original Bleach anime. Bleach never had a faithful adaptation. It was by no means a Tokyo Ghoul or a Promised Neverland Season 2, but it removed important characterization, changed dialogue, removed and censored a lot of the gore scenes, had terrible pacing, had a ton of in-canon filler and filler outside of that, and faced several problems due to these issues, which have all been fixed in the new Bleach anime. The pacing of the current anime is 4 to 5 chapters an episode. The pacing of the original Bleach anime was 1 to 2 chapters for the majority of the run, if that. The new pacing has been an incredible change of pace for the Bleach anime as a whole, and is honestly a very welcomed thing, as long as important moments in the content aren't skipped. It feels like a seasonal anime in pacing, which is absolutely awesome. It's exactly what we wanted. Another great fix is no censorship. We knew this was coming already with the new anime, with the 12 AM release, but it's honestly so surreal to watch Bleach on screen with no censorship. The old original anime had a massive problem making scenes not nearly as impactful because of how heavily censored it was. Hiyori being cut in half, Rongiku losing half of her body, and we can get deeper and deeper into it. This lack of censorship in the newer anime is highly welcomed once again, and I am excited to see how it affects Bleach's bloodiest, darkest arc as a whole. It's even proven in scenes like Shino fighting the Hollows, where it was so beautiful in their horrific content thanks to the lack of censorship. Scenes like the Quillage battle looked insanely good due to their blood. This isn't edgy, it just adds to the anime and the impact it holds. With the blood dropping, it just feels more emotional. Another great thing that's a nice touch is not mixing bad filler with canon. They are adding some scenes, but they are all approved by Kubo and aren't bad in any form. They add context and important world building that the original might have suffered from not having. Or they help add a hype to the first episode, which is something that is key to the return of an entity like Bleach. We have no need to fear for a giant filler coming out of nowhere as well, which adds to how amazing this return truly is. While the original had some inconsistent animation and art, this return has some of the best art in all of anime and some really great animation to back it up. Overall, this is a faithful adaptation of the 1000-Year Blood War arc, and has fixed all the production issues I've had with the original anime. In my opinion, I even prefer the sound design, which was never a problem in the original Bleach. In fact, the original Bleach had perfect sound design. Their voice actor quality has also been absolutely top-notch, but again, that is something that the original also had. But anyway guys, that is going to be the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video till the end. If you guys are new here, once again, drop a subscription. We're going to be covering a ton of Bleach related content here on the channel. Also drop a like. The like goal for today's video is 100 likes. And without all further ado, have an amazing day. And in the words of Ginichimaru, bye bye!